Gooseworx revealed what's in store for Zooble in the new episode, and it's just disgusting. Zooble will be the main character of the third episode, and we already know that for sure. And since the pilot and the second episode showed us very little about this character, it is in episode 3 that we will learn all the secrets and mysteries of Zooble. Zooble is rude, straightforward, arrogant, and yet very sincere character that we clearly saw in the funeral scene of Kaufmo. A very important detail is her insistence on not taking part in various adventures. And if in the pilot episode, Cain punished her for it, in episode 2 she was able to hide and remained unpunished. And as in the pilot episode, she is not affected by any of Cain's persuasions. And perhaps the artificial intelligence, which is 57 times better than Gloinx, was created just for Zooble, which means that the location under the map should have been Zooble and not Pomni. But why is Zooble so insistent on abandoning adventures? Most likely something terrible happened to Zooble in one of the adventures before Pomni showed up. And the situation with Gloinx is just a child's prank compared to her past experiences. It's also important to remember about the interaction between Jax and Zooble. The rabbit tries in various ways to make jokes about Zooble, but she's the only one who doesn't give him any opportunity to do so. And if the second episode was much more interesting than many of us thought, Gooseworx said that the third episode will be much better. And it is her favorite episode. And here we remember how Goose said that Zooble is her favorite character. So the fact that in the pilot and the second episode, we didn't learn much about Zooble was done on purpose, because the most valuable information about this character will be stored in episode 3. Gooseworx also told us about this, and added that we should expect much more about this character in the next episodes. And this is good, because Zooble is the weirdest character of all, and if we understand that Kinger is a strange man who suffers from paranoia, Gangle is a whiny girl who can't stand up for herself, Ragatha is an insecure but at the same time very kind girl, Jax is a bully who enjoys any kind of violence in the circus, and Pomni is the only one who has compassion for absolutely all participants of the adventure. But who is Zooble is still a mystery, and even those characteristics from the beginning of the video give us almost no information about the real Zooble. Although many people know that Zooble is a reference on the Zolo constructor, but still they do not fully understand the complexity of this idea. Zooble, as well as a strange constructor, consists of parts that are not connected to each other, and because of this, she still does not fully understand who she is and who she wants to be. At the moment, the inner conflict, which is expressed in the constant search for the perfect image, does not allow Zooble to identify herself in any way. And also in the musical adventure, we were shown Zooble's room, which finally revealed what her chest of details looks like. But the greatest value is the room itself, and if you look closely, we see a huge amount of colors and details that seem to fit together, but at the same time, absolutely do not fit together, which is clearly seen in comparison with the rooms of other characters. Let's talk about what might actually happen to Zooble in the new episode and in the following episodes, and where it all leads Zooble. What if Zooble is on the verge of death in the new episode, and maybe she'll give up on adventure again, and what the consequences could be? This, and much more, we will discuss further in this video. Keep in mind that the third episode will not be for children at all, which means that we will see something horrible, disgusting, or scary very soon, and judging by the fact that episode 3 will be about Zooble, she will be the main character of this horror. First of all, we need to understand where the new episode will take place, and most likely, it will be a mystical house with Martha Mildenhall, seal, and tape recorder. And I already had a video on my channel dedicated to the events that may happen inside this house. Zooble will probably refuse to participate in the adventure as before, which will make Cain angry, and he will decide to force Zooble to participate in the new adventure. And considering the fact that Zooble always limps on one leg, and the adventures outside the digital circus tent are opened thanks to the portal, Cain can just pick the moment when these phenomena coincide, and thus Zooble will get into a new location because of his deficiency. And this will be the first scene of the beginning of the reveal of Zooble's identity. And the whole episode will be about finding the real Zooble and identifying herself as a person and what that will lead to. And based on that, we're going to divide the video into 2 chapters: character and implications. We are all used to seeing Zooble as a neutral character who is known for his rudeness, and the most pronounced confirmation of this was the fragment where Zooble directly told Kinger that she was sure that he was the one who should have turned into an abstracted monster next instead of Kaufmo. And that's assuming Kinger was the one who saved her. And no one even thinks about the fact that Zooble might actually be a very vulnerable girl who desperately hides it and is afraid to show everyone her weakness. And all her arrogance and actions are just a lame way of hiding it. For all her faults, she continues to maintain good relations with the others. And even Pomni, who is currently the most uncomfortable in the digital circus, feels her support. And episode 3 may gradually reveal this line. We will understand more and more of Zooble's true meaning with each passing minute. We can draw a parallel with Gummigoo, who was initially presented to us as a villain, but the longer we watched the second episode, the more sympathy we felt for this character, and I have a hunch that Gooseworx left us a little clue in the last episode. Let's remember again how desperate he was to get Zooble to take part in the new adventure, and lured her in every possible way. And as I said before, Gummigoo was probably meant for Zooble, and by drawing a parallel between these characters, we realize that they are very similar. They both don't fully understand who they are, and that's why the third episode should make us fall in love with Zooble. Gooseworx has already told us that her favorite Zooble image will be in episode 4, and also from episode 3 to 9, we will see a lot more scenes with Zooble, and therefore we will not see a full-fledged transformation into an abstracted monster for this character. But we should not forget that Gooseworx said that such process as abstraction will also be dedicated to the episode, and we will learn how this process takes place. And based on what we've learned so far, there's a good chance that Zooble could be the one to undergo this phenomenon, and a good chance that it will happen in the third episode amidst everything that's going on with her. Or alternatively, Zooble will have the courage to become one of the leaders of the digital circus and will be able to lead everyone else. And considering the fact how bravely she responds to Cain under the current circumstances and is not afraid to be rude to Jax, I have confidence that it is Zooble who will be Pomni's main helper in finding the coveted exit of the digital circus. But given the last two facts, we can assume that the exact same situation with Zooble as with Jax can happen again. Initially, they were very similar. Both of them are a bit rude, straightforward, and if the final character of Jax was revealed to us in episode 2, and he turned out to be just disgusting, because we found out that from a funny bully, Jax turned into a real maniac who is interested only in death and violence, and with his actions, he clearly proved it to us. And if my theory is correct, then Zooble is also hiding a real villain. And I have one very interesting theory in favor of that. Everyone knows the legendary painting, The Last Supper, which depicts Jesus Christ surrounded by people, and he fulfills the role of a Messiah. In the final scene of the pilot episode, Pomni appears as Jesus Christ, and one old leak confirms it. Among all those depicted, we see Judas Iscariot, who, according to the story, betrayed Jesus. And we see that he sits on the left side of the table with one hand on the table. And in the pilot episode, we see a clear reference, and Judas appears as Zooble. So we can think that in the third episode, we can see Zooble getting closer to the others in order to get into the circle of trust. And in the second episode, we see that at least with Pomni, it is already working. And then gradually, we will see more and more of Zooble's true character and true goals in the digital circus. What if Zooble is an NPC created by Cain for the purpose of spying on everyone else? This theory has merit as the constant abandonment of adventures really makes you wonder. Perhaps Zooble realizes that there is a possibility that something could go wrong with her in the world of the other NPCs, and it would completely declassify her. But this theory is on the verge of insanity. And which scenario do you believe in the most? If you have your own theories, I will be madly happy to read each of them in the comments below the video. But in any case, to learn much more, we need to wait for new leaks, which will be very soon. Have a good day everyone, and see you soon in the new videos.